Thanks for joining us here on Focus on Africa from BBC World News. 7 people have been killed and scores injured after armed herdsmen attacked an internally displaced persons camp in Nigeria's central Benue state. The attackers reportedly overpowered the security personnel based at the camp, which houses over 8,500 internal refugees. Nigeria is currently experiencing a huge wave of insecurity across the country, and Parliament has now asked President Buhari to declare a state of emergency. In a moment, we'll look at how dire the situation is. But first, here is the BBC's Ishaq Khalid with the latest.
The insecurity in Nigeria is widespread. Various armed groups have stepped up violence across the country, with daily attacks, killings and kidnappings for ransom. The victims are across board: the rich and the poor, the young and the elderly, the security forces and civilians. And in one of the latest attacks, gunmen have killed at least 7 civilians at a camp for people displaced by earlier violence in their communities in central state of Benue. And in another development, the gunmen who kidnapped dozens of students from a forestry college in Kaduna State more than a month ago have just released a second video of the captives, who are seen narrating their terrible experience, the terrible kind of situation they have found themselves in captivity. No shelter, no food and no medication. They're also appealing to their relatives to pay ransom for their release. But the government in Kaduna State has a policy of non-negotiation with the armed groups, let alone paying ransom. The Nigerian government has deployed thousands of troops across the country, but that has so far failed to tackle the various armed groups, including Boko Haram in the northeast, Biafra separatists in the southeast, and different armed criminal gangs across the country who have continued to unleash violence. Some observers say Nigeria is now descending into lawlessness and that the situation needs to be addressed head-on. The Nigerian parliament has now asked President Muhammadu Buhari to declare a state of emergency in the country due to rising insecurity. The legislators also called on the federal government to carry out massive recruitment of security forces to boost ongoing operations across the West African country. Many Nigerians say they hope to see security in place. Ishaq Khalid, BBC News, Abuja.
Well, the insecurity in Nigeria has led to the United States and Canada to issue travel advisories to their citizens who are planning to travel there. So just how bad is the security situation nationwide? Let's take a look at what's been happening since the beginning of this year. Boko Haram has been continuing attacks in Borno and Yobe states. That's despite the government saying it had defeated the militant group. There have been rocket attacks, scores of abductions, and tens of thousands of people have been displaced as they seek safety. And in a new twist, Boko Haram says it's created affiliations with jihadist fighters in the northwest states of Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Niger. Those groups have stepped up incidents of banditry and kidnappings in the region. While in Benue and Kaduna states, there have been communal clashes and kidnappings. And in Ebonyi, Enugu, Abia, Anambra and Imo, the government is having to deal with separatist agitators who are demanding for their own state of Biafra. In the Niger Delta, where Nigeria's oil wealth is located, Rivers, Akwa Ibom and Edo states have experienced violent crime and kidnappings. In the last week, in Rivers State, police, customs officers and soldiers have been killed. Insecurity has forced Rivers State's governor to put in an overnight curfew of people entering and leaving the region. That begins today until further notice. And in the southwest, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti and Kwara states, Fulani herdsmen have been committing attacks on communities and there's competition over resources there. So as you can see from all these events that almost 2/3 of the country is suffering unrest. Virtually all the regions, the north, south, center and west are affected. So let's hear what Nigerians think. We've been out on the streets of Abuja to get some reaction.
They need to do much, much better because the rate people are being kidnapped, the rate people are dying is really, really scary. There's nowhere to run to. Where are you going to? There's no place to go to. If you're running, where are you going to? Everywhere is insecure.
The Nigerian government are not doing enough. In fact, left for me alone, we don't have government in this country. If we have government in this country, everything will be okay.
No one, is happy to go out because you don't know where you fall the victim. Because everybody is scared. If you go right now and there, there's kidnapping, there's banditry, and everywhere, every nook and cranny.
At least the government should try and help us with the security, because so many things are happening in the country, and the people living in the country are so much afraid. So they have to help us and do something about the security. Though they have been trying, but we are pleading on them to please help us.
Well, during a virtual meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari asked the U.S. to consider relocating its Africa Command from Stuttgart in Germany to Africa, nearer the theater of operation, while urging the international community to support Nigeria and the sub-region in tackling growing insecurity challenges to avoid spillovers. So does this amount to an admission of defeat on President Buhari's part? I put the question to his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Malam Garba Shehu.
We are asking for increased support from the US, from the UK, and all of our partners, whether they are in the area of intelligence sharing or sale or supply of weaponry. All of these things are important. We need the partnership of our friends and allies in order to defeat the challenges that are facing our country.
So for the president to have mentioned the issue of security and asking for support from the US to the US Secretary of State, is that an admission of failure on his part? Because let's not forget that 6 years ago, while he was campaigning to be president for his first term, providing security for Nigerians was one of the pillars on which he campaigned. So has he failed in this sense?
No, please don't even think about that. When he campaigned in 2015, the entire picture, the challenges facing the country were of a different nature. Then Boko Haram had a territory that they controlled in the northeast of the country with the flag and system of the administration, and calling it a caliphate of some sort in the northeast, controlling about 14 local council areas. As we speak today, none of this is being controlled by Boko Haram. And for God's sake, to partner with your allies. We have an intelligence fusion center, bringing the US, UK, France, Germany, the leading countries of the West, in Abuja here. So you don't have to fail to work with partners abroad.
Are you worried that we might be heading for a crisis across the country?
We are.
I mean, some would argue that we're already at crisis point.
Oh, no, I'm not sure. The thing is that it is not beyond what the government of Nigeria can do. We will contain it. Yes, we are witnessing spikes here and there, but there's a calming down.
No, but when you say that, Malam Shehu, I mean, I remember interviewing President Buhari in 2015, and you were there during that interview as well. He was very bullish. He told me, I am an ex-general. I know what it takes to tackle the security in the country. Yes, Boko Haram does not control 14 local governments in Borno State any longer, but criminals are in control of so many states: Northwest, Northeast, Central Nigeria, River State in the Niger Delta, the Southwest states where Fulani herdsmen are ravaging the people there. This is not a sign of administration that knows what it is to tackle, what it takes to tackle the security challenges.
No, on the contrary, I think is to also come to terms with the fact that security challenges mutate. They change from one form to the other. When we came in, the focus was on Boko Haram, as I said a while ago. After some time, we were challenged by frequent killings between farmers and herders, particularly in north central states. This too has been diminished. So, and look at what is happening. When he came in, the vandalization of the Libyan state and the breakdown of that state, and all of the inflow of weapons coming from that region. And look at the mess that is happening in the Sahel and the sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, there's so much challenge, especially coming from displaced fighters from the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, following the defeat by the US of the ISIS. So all of these things are new challenges, And the important thing is that Nigeria and our armed forces remain committed to absolutely containing and addressing these problems.
And so why is President Buhari not communicating this to Nigerians? Because another complaint that Nigerians have is that there's this myriad of problems across the country and he never appears on any media or hardly appears on any media to talk to them.
Well, leaders have their own individual styles. No two presidents are the same, even for Nigeria.
Even when Nigerians are calling for that, you're a special advisor on communications. Shouldn't you be telling him maybe it's time to talk to the country?
This is, people are entitled to their own opinions, but the president is speaking. There is hardly any day that the president of Nigeria does not speak, either directly or indirectly through people like ourselves.
That's Malam Garba Shehu, who is the special assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria.